Washington Parish Jail inmates were inside this yard on Sunday. When they were called in, Corey Ard and Kate Elliott hid behind a wall. Sheriff Jason Smith says, according to policy, a guard should have checked the yard at that point, but no one did. Someone was also supposed to count the inmates as they came in.
And here is all the interior space where we give the inmates yard time.
Smith says the two men climbed over the barbed wire fence that surrounds the yard. Then, this video shows them running to the outer fence, scaling it, and running away.
We found out about, 35, 40 minutes later, and we started calling people back in and getting organized.
Both men were being held on several nonviolent charges. Elliott's include misdemeanor sexual battery, and Ard's unlawful possession of a firearm. Smith says it's still not clear how jail workers finally figured out they were missing.
There's some discrepancies in some of the stories of the employees. People have a natural tendency to try to cover up mistakes they make.
5 hours after the escape, deputies captured Ard along Highway 25. Within an hour after that, they found Elliott behind the Cargill Animal Nutrition Plant. Smith acknowledges that workers are stretched thin. The jail is chronically overcrowded with 144 beds and more than 200 inmates. He says that slows down the response when something goes wrong.
So if we have to do a head count, that takes a certain amount of time. Of course, the inmates aren't always cooperative, and so you have to count and recount and make sure that you know what you've got before you start putting the word out.
We all acknowledge the problem. We all acknowledge our jail is overcrowded.
Across the street, Parish President Ryan Seal says the parish is still catching up on cases from the pandemic, which means more people in jail awaiting trial. It's also trying to transfer out more state inmates. But he says the only permanent fix, a new jail building, is still far off.
We're working with our legislative delegation in Baton Rouge. We're working with a congressional delegation and trying everything we can do to get that financing in place.
In the meantime, Smith says he plans to review the jail's policies with his employees.
There's just no excuse for failure to do the things you're supposed to be doing.
Both of those inmates are now facing charges for the escape on top of the ones they were already in jail for. Each of their inmate records show one count of simple escape. That's escape that doesn't endanger anyone's life in the process. Those charges could carry 2 to 5 extra years in prison for each of them if they're convicted.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much for that update.